came home. I was seeing like a whole bunch of unmarked police cars out. I wonder what happened. I bumped into Corey at some point, and Corey says,
Shit.
he heard
These are all
they
shot.
were looking for us.
So him and I went upstairs. They had detectives at his door.
It's
And they
Tommy's.
said, oh, this is one of the guys you were looking for. Check my email. And they asked Corey who he
Looks like
was.
it's a number on this one.
So, no, the name ain't on here. So they said, you can come downtown with your buddy. You'll be right back.
You okay?
We went to
Yeah,
the prison.
sorry. It's just
And
smell.
I came home 7 years later. He came home 13 years later.
Alright. I must have taken off on foot.
They said, something happened out in the
You
park.
good to
He was
keep
out in the
going?
park that night,
Yeah, I'm
right?
fine. Please.
Yeah, I was at the park, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Kevin is saying this happened. You know, Antoine is saying this happened.
How'd this city get
They
so
were
wrecked?
stopping during my
Boston wasn't like this, was it?
and saying, is this where
Boston
you got
didn't
to
have a
go?
full-blown civil
Back
war.
there,
Fireflies
Tony
never put
was
up this
very,
kind of
very
resistance.
scared. I felt like these guys are really angry,
See the TV station?
and you know what?
Yeah,
They might
it's that way.
take us to the back of the
Uphill.
prison and kill us.
Oh,
A lot of time had gone by.
My
I
bodies.
don't even know what time it was.
Tommy definitely came this way.
They said the heart of it said, Corey,
Solid barricade.
you look like you're real tired.
Okay, well,
Very
going this
tired
way.
and exhausted.
Stop.
You want to go home.
Tripwire.
shit.
But you never go home until you give up this, until you can say a story.
They're all over.
They had made
Probably
up a story
for
saying
infected.
something like, well, we
Still.
have your prints on her pants.
One wrong step.
I'm thinking, how did they take my
Yeah.
prints and
Let's
put
be
it on
careful.
her pants?
Detective Mujay, young officer, with a whole lot of energy, came in, put his face to my face, put his hand in my face, grabbed my face, shook my face. I want a story from you.
Mother.
I just gave written statement just to satisfy them, just to get them out my face with it, trying to be on my way out their building. And afterwards, he had me sign on. So, I signed on.
These boys were in custody
Get back.
and under varying degrees of interrogation for a range of 14 to 30 hours.
Get in the way with you.
And when you are stressed, when you are tired, juveniles are not
Smart.
fully mature and developed.
That works.
Thinking, right now,
Yeah.
I just want this
Seen
to
Joel
stop.
do this.
You've really got this area covered.
Probably don't cut through here much with all this.
There's that silver lining.
My name is Elizabeth Lehrer. I'm an assistant district attorney in New York County. I'd like to ask you some questions about a series of things that happened in Central Park on the night of April 19th of 1989. Before I do that, I'd like to advise you of your rights with respect to statements you may make now, okay? You have the right to remain silent and to refuse to answer any questions. Do you understand? Anything you say can be against your interest. Do you understand?
Fuck, look out! Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have no lawyer or cannot afford a lawyer will be provided for you now free of charge before any questions. Do you understand? Yes. Now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to tell me the truth about what happened in Central Park on the night of April 19th of 1989? Yes. Okay. Present in this room is Detective Nugent, who you have already met, I believe. Have you met
Detective Mujay told me to go ahead, give this story, what you which I said to me and the rest of my co-workers, we'll go in and give the story. I'm going to be in a room. And I want to make sure you do it.
This is Detective McCabe and Detective Hildebrand. I think you've already met them. Also present are, I believe, your parents. Could you each please state your full name? My name is Linda McCray. And now, what is your relation with his mother? And, okay. I want to warn you of your rights with respect to anything you say in this case.
Why would a parent not say at that moment, we want to consult with an attorney? The reason is because of the setting and because of the way they're being treated by the police and because of being overwhelmed by the situation, it doesn't even register in their mind.
Now, 20 minutes to 5 in the morning, on the morning of April 21st of 1989, there is another gentleman here in the room. Who is that man? And, sir, can you please just state your name and address?
My father, he's quite stern man, so I felt ashamed that I was even there doing that. And I shouldn't feel that way because I was innocent.
I was under the impression that I was going to be a witness, help out, or just give him a story, and that was it. I didn't have consequences. I didn't make one anything. Consequences, make sure I go home. That was it.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, sir.
Here I am doing this. So I'm thinking, make sure that people know
What are you doing?
I wasn't involved.
Oh my god.
Did you tell the police earlier today that you had tried to grab her, and that's when you got scratched?
This tall grass is making me nervous. Yeah, they're getting tricky to see.
But you tried to grab her arm? Did you see Ed for the injured person? Was he laying on top of her, or was he kneeling, or was he?
Laying on top of her.
Okay. How long was he on top of her?
It was short, but I mean,
Still the same place, though.
It's the west side, that's why I think that.
Fuck.
That's where you saw Kevin? Was anybody with Kevin? Who was with Kevin?
Some lady.
A lady.
Fucker.
How was she dressed?
I can't tell what she doing.
What was he doing with her?
Struggling with her.
While Kevin was struggling with her with the wrists.
I'm talking about for our clothes out. No place to put my mom.
What was Kevin doing while Steve Lopez was holding her hands and getting to the
He
bridge?
was having sex with her.
Where were you standing?
All of this stuff.
Were you
Huh.
Did somebody have sex with her?
Yeah.
Did a lot of people have sex with her?
Yeah.
Well, first it was the black guy, then it was the Puerto Rican, then it was the black guy, then you got on top of her. Look at that picture. Is that the one that you saw? Is that sort of the way she looked when you saw her? Did you see anybody hit her with anything but their hands? And I'm telling you, Corey, I don't want you to think that you have to say that. But I want to know
I don't change
what you
guns.
saw that explains how she got so badly hurt.
This is stupid as fuck.
I did. See, I tried to pick up a hand up. I was small hand up. And hit across the face with it.
Fuck's sake.
Good shape.
Are you just saying that because I am asking? Why didn't
fucking drops. Pain in the arse.
There's a TV station.
I was trying to get out of there as quickly as I can possibly, because I've been there too long as it was. And you know, being a kid, I never experienced that in my life. 16.
Bollocks.
16, and I felt like I was about 12.
Thank you very much. It is now 20 minutes.
Jesus. Ridiculous.
They put us in the cell with the rest of the guys. Now, what these guys need to know. Who are you? And everybody's asking each other, what did you say? What did you say? And everybody's basically saying, well, I told them I was with my boy, and we left. I didn't see nothing. Nobody's saying actually. Everybody had that sense. Oh, don't let it out the bag, because if I let it out, then I'm not going to go home.
Shit.
What the
Stay down
fuck?
there. The stairs are wired up.
Can you detonate them?
This morning, a jogger is
Not
fighting
here.
for her life after a brutal attack in Central Park.
Viciously battered and unconscious, wearing only a jogging bra, her hands tied over her mouth.
What the hell you make out of here?
15-year-olds who blazed a nighttime trail of terror.
Assaulting an elderly man, attacking a male runner, hitting another person with a lead pipe. At one time, the group was running in a pack of more than 25 youths.
The victim is now in critical condition at Metropolitan Hospital.
2 skull fractures, a significant
this
loss
is
of blood, and
possible.
advanced hypothermia. If she lives, it's likely she'll suffer from brain damage.
8 suspects were arraigned
Where
this
the
week,
hell you meant
aged
to-
14 to 17.
Some of the young men told police they were just a wilding.
Wilding is a word you won't find in Webster's.
Wilding. New York City police say that's new teenage slang for rampaging in wolf packs, attacking people just for fun.
The district attorney's office says the teenagers have confessed. The spokesman said some of those confessions are on videotape.
A woman jogging in Central Park. Central Park was holy. If it had happened anyplace else other than Central Park, it would have been terrible. But it would not have been as terrible. It
We're
was
not being subtle right now.
for everybody, not just
Maybe they'll come to us.
Yeah. Or they might be waiting to ambush us.
Today we are announcing the arrests of 4 males, all between 14 and 15 years of age, in connection with the April 19th
Of course it's law.
attempted murder, rape, and assault of a female in Central Park.
NYPD. They got him.
Set against the backdrop of New York City and a
There it
crime
is.
that just about
There we
has
go.
everybody flipping out. You can only imagine the pressure that NYPD was under to have this crime solved and solved quickly.
Feels empty.
Jack Maple, one of the architects of the 1990s New York City Police Revolution, once told me that he remembered 2 detectives involved in the Central Park jogger case in lanes within a day or so of the crime, celebrating the arrest. There was a sense that this had been a home run from law enforcement.
Fuck. It's brutal.
Tommy do this?
Change it up and go to another
Let's get
precinct.
inside.
Pigeon.
Me and Yusuf did the walk together, and we just kept our head down. When we saw the lights, we still didn't understand.
I'm walking and I'm scared behind my head up high. And you know, I think to myself, okay, the truth is gonna come out. After they got out of the interrogation room, they backed up. Each one of them denied having done it. Consistently, again and again and again. They said, no, we didn't do it.
For the first time since the April 19th rampage through Central Park, Manhattan DA Robert Morgenthau spoke out publicly on the attacks to officially announce indictments involving 6 of the 8 suspects charged with the most serious crimes.
Each is charged with attack with attempted murder, rape in the first degree, sodomy in the first degree, sexual abuse in the first degree, 2 counts of assault in the first degree, and riot in the first degree.
Where the hell did you get in?
There's no way that I, as a woman, could not feel horrible for her and feel scared for myself and every other woman walking the street. And I was on the edge of my seat hoping that she would get better, but there was no indication that she would recover consciousness.
For me, the one piece of information that just got me was her friends coming in to identify her and her being just beaten beyond recognition. And the only way that her friends could identify her was by the ring that she wore.
The 28-year-old victim lies in a coma. A teacher called her Golden Girl. An investment banker with a blue-chip background whose savage beating and gang rape has provoked outrage in a city famous for indifference. Suspects in the crime were arraigned this weekend, aged 14 to 17. He was at arraignment, and I remember them reading charges off. Robbery in the first, attempted murder in the first, rape in the first. And the lawyer's like, don't dance, keep your head down. But it wasn't until you got to that jail and you felt the impact.
It's awful to be out of detention. Yeah, kid that committed serious crime. Murder, rape.
This counselor came down, sat there with us. He said, you know how serious y'all case is? And we was like, what are you talking about? He said, y'all all over the paper, y'all on every news station, everybody's talking about y'all. He said, it's so serious, the whole jail.
Be careful.
Because he was 16. He said Corey to Rikers Island.
Rikers Island what makes profit look like a country club. Especially when you're in there for a rape charge.
To be a child, to be 16 years old, and to be in an adult facility. I can't imagine that.
Rikers Island? At the age of 16, being forced to grow up very fast.
In the first few days after the incident, the narrative that came out was that these young men were guilty. And it was almost unquestioned.
When parents or grandmothers of some of these alleged perpetrators, we always have to say alleged because that's the requirement. When those grandmothers say, but he's a good boy, he never did anything, don't you believe it?
It was so much hate. Look at all this TV.
There's something wrong with the parenting and the families, the home life of our city. It's an outrage. The violence in the city, the quality of life in the city is getting worse and worse.
Listen,
is the
This is
ultimate
definitely not
shriek
Tommy.
of alarm. This is the ultimate siren that says none of this is safe.
The story has been great. New Yorkers startle with others and start your renewed talk of an under-policed city with crime out of
This
control.
just happened.
Mayor Koch,
You think they're still here?
this will be
I hope not.
a test of this.
Keep your eyes open.
People want to see how the criminal justice system works, or if it works.
The brutal attack on the young investment banker is fueling a new battle with the death penalty. Even though the proposed law now stands, it would only apply to those 18 or older.
I'm for the death penalty. If someone were to hurt my family or a loved one as they did this woman, I would probably want them dead.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it.
Trump put his money where his mouth is by taking out this full-page ad in 4 New York City newspapers. Bring back the death penalty.
They were children. Bringing up the death penalty in the context of a case in which you were discussing children was outrageous to me.
I think that if she had been a young woman who had been found in an alley in Bedford Stuyvesant, if she had been found in Harlem, and if she had been found in any of the darker enclaves in this city or in the state, Donald Trump wouldn't have spoken. He wouldn't have even whispered a word.
Shit.
Interracial rapes are covered differently.
I don't like this.
And there was another major rape in the city at the
We have
time.
to search all of it.
And this is the woman who was raped in Brooklyn and thrown off a rooftop.
Be careful.
That got little to no coverage because the assailants and the victim were in the same racial group.
There's a white woman, and the accusation is that she's been done in by blacks. That by itself takes you back to Emmett Till, who did nothing but whistle at a woman and ended up in a shallow Mississippi grave.
If this had happened in 1901, they would have been lynched, perhaps castrated, and their bodies burned. And that would have been the end of it.
But this was New York City, 1989. It was not Jim Crow South, and yet the same words are being used with the same damaging results.
They seized on the fears of the people, wilding the bestial characterization of the black man, these young hoodlums, these thugs.
Once we were on the path to identifying these young men as the culprits, it's hard to get off that path. And race and power politics make it extremely difficult. It requires extraordinary courage.
A lot of people in the black community went along with the confession. Many of us were frightened by our own shame. Many of us had been pushed around, raped, burglarized.
Oh, dear me.
Harassed.
Where the hell?
Often by young black
You're on
men.
the upper floor.
People just said, oh, how terrible. How terrible. Everyone turned against him except him.
Oh my god. You're too annoying.
The good news is she continues to improve neurologically from her attack.
No, what are you doing?
She called her father Dad.
Oh my
She had simple
god.
arithmetic. Her
What a
brain is
retard.
working. Still abnormally, she thought the year was 1952, but her brain is working.
She's getting better, and so far, she looks good.
The medical case of the 28-year-old jogger continues to improve. She's undergoing physical and psychological therapy at a Connecticut hospital.
The young woman attacked has apparently made a remarkable recovery, although she reportedly cannot recall any details about the attack.
Ugh, this is fucking... so retarded.
So that must dog out. I thought the case was over. I thought the truth came out. I didn't know nothing about Val. That's why I got home on my best friend. I know it's bad. We pay for you to get out, but we still gotta go on with it.
The police controlled the story from the beginning. They created the story and the theory. And all the pieces fell into place.
The authorities released a chronology to the press of what this wilding was all about.
How do we get in there?
The newspapers love chronologies. We call them TikToks. We like to say, here's how this night of terror unfolded in the park. The timeline says the kids did these attacks at this place with the homeless guy, at this place with the taxi driver, over there with the bicycle rider, and then with people running around the reservoir.
Bloody hell.
They did various acts of malice or mischief with these folks. Now, those people reported these things either simultaneously or right after to the police. So there is a clear-cut time. And what they do is they append to the end of this sequence of crimes the attack on the jogger. Then something happens. Her movements that night start to become defined. And all of a sudden, we find out when she left the house, what route she normally took around the park, and with not necessarily absolute certainty, but with a good degree of certainty, you can figure out that Trisha Miley should have been in the park around the place where she was attacked at around 20 after 9. We know for certain that at that time, those kids were beating up, hassling other people on the reservoir, south of that spot in the park. They weren't at that part of the park at the time she would have been there. And if you watch the videotape confessions, it turns out they actually don't know where the crime took place, they don't know when it took place, and they don't know how it took place. They just know that it happened.
The problem is, once you form a strong belief that somebody is guilty of a crime, the contradictory details are just that. They're details, but they don't fundamentally change our belief in their guilt. But when the DNA results come back, and none of their DNA is present, that should have stopped the investigation in its tracks, and they should have at least paused and moved in another direction.
Connor Levy was a DNA prosecutor at the time, and he recalls how Elizabeth Lederer said, "Please come to my office," and he could sense urgency in her voice. And she said, "Look, I feel like
there's
I'm
Leah.
kicked in the stomach."
That's
There's
her.
no DNA match whatsoever to these
Bullshit.
reports.
It is
You sure?
improbable,
Yes.
given the nature of this crime and the scene, that these boys
Yes,
would
the
not
universe
have
really
left
wanted
a
her
single
dead, huh?
trace of themselves on the scene, would have seen a single trace on them. The improbability of that is striking. But the decision was, we can still
There's nothing on her.
prosecute this case. And the argument we will make to the jury is just because we didn't get all of them, doesn't mean we didn't get some of them. They now created a scenario by which there is a sixth perpetrator. A sixth perpetrator who mysteriously doesn't appear in any of the confessions. But even if they were correct, that sixth perpetrator's absence in their confessions makes the confessions factually incorrect. That should have been the dilemma.
That's
The
New
trail
Jackson.
grass at the very spot where she was taken down is 18 inches wide. That wide. You can't tell me that
That's
5 kids,
Abby.
or 10, or whatever the number is that was supposedly involved in this wilding, dragged this woman off the road and left an 18-inch wide trail. That trail
3
is
down, right?
a photograph of the beginning of this attack. And in that picture, there are not 5 kids. There are only
Shit. Yeah, we should get going.
and her assailant.
Well, she's dead. How do you feel? I guess we can talk to her.
Yeah. She didn't hurt Joel. It would have been pretty fucked up to me.
I accepted it. And I dressed. She was coming towards me. I picked up the knife. And I shot the knife. And I caught her hair. But she said, "Oh, you stabbed me." I don't know what. I stabbed me. I don't know what places I got it. I see that before. She was nervous. So I run out the door.
Mateus Reyes was a young man living essentially by himself in his late teenage years. He would steal walkmans, he would steal watches, he would steal jewelry. Then he started sexually assaulting women, attacking women all around that neighborhood. On April 17th, 1989, just 2 days before the John Roots attack, he attacked a woman on the boulevard of Central Park. But the woman noticed that he had fresh stitches on his chin, and she told the police about this. And a young detective went to the hospitals in the area and found out that there had been a guy named Mateus Reyes who had these stitches on his chin. That was
Someone took out Zoe! We got company! What? Emma! Push forward!
Detective Mike Shield. He knew. Because he was working with the...
You're done, motherfucker! Motherfuckers!
Once that confession is taken, once that confession
Nice shot!
the effects can't be reversed.
Think they went that way.
Screening for jurors began to
Fuck
be
all
a
day.
case that shocked New York.
Find where they're hiding. Found them! Over here!
She has no
Better start running.
testify. Your appearance and emotional punch.
I ain't running fucking anywhere, bitch.